Welcome to another episode of Bubblegum Connects, where we connect with artists, innovators, musicians, authors, and most importantly, we connect with you. Today, we're talking to music innovator Gigi Lamayne, who's just released her new single for her upcoming album. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
So, how did the beginning look for you? How did you decide that you wanted to go into music? And in a country like South Africa, how did you sort of claw your way up to the top?
I mean, my family's always, been a setup where there was a lot of, there was a huge diversification in music. I mean, everything from your gospels to your pops we went from Shania Twain to Amadoda Nasemisi to so many other, different things. But I think the biggest inspiration has been, my big brother, who literally used to go and dub cassettes, where we used to listen to, I forgot what the show was called, but I remember it was on radio. So the kind of rap activity jam that was there way before the one that's there now. And we've always just been passionate about spoken word. So at the age of 11, I think I was in grade 5, I got given an assignment by a teacher. Shout out to Miss Beckers. I go back there every now and then just to see her. And we were given an assignment to write a poem. Went home, wrote the poem, and when I got back to class, it just didn't match up with my age, my vocab, and the first thing a teacher is going to think is plagiarism. They went and they investigated and there wasn't anything like that. And she called my mother and she said, listen, I really want to groom your daughter in terms of creative writing and poetry. Will you let me do that? And my mom, being an amazing mom, was like, you know what, that's okay. And I had my first poem published at the Poetry Institute of Africa. It is a world record. I was 11. And then at about 16, I started hanging out with the boys and rapping not too far from here, Gandhi Square, with the likes of Maraza, MT, the list goes on. And I think that's where Gigi Lamayne was born.
So your music is sort of a mixture of Afrobeats, hip-hop, piano, and you've sort of created your own really unique sound. How did you decide on the sort of genre of music?
I mean, I also like to think of genres as different colors of like a canvas where you're just able to kind of put out your colors and do what you like. And like I said, my family is so diverse. Tracy Chapman, Bob Marley, Lauryn Hill. I would be absolutely bored if I had to stick to one genre. And I do believe that, above everything, hip hop is not just a genre, it's a lifestyle, it's a culture. And it exists in every other space. People always think that my biggest song was a hip hop song, and it wasn't. My biggest song was Fufa with King Minada, which had over 30 million streams. So where I can help the hip hop culture exist and bring back a whole new demographic, like the Bolabedu people in Limpopo, I've won. So I mean, let Picasso paint.
What is your creative process in terms of songs, the beat, working with producers?
Yeah.
How do you bring a song to life?
I mean, it's absolutely spiritual, right? I know a lot of producers will come and send me songs. I mean, my partner and I were discussing somebody who was like, hey, baby, you need to listen to this person's beat. And, for me, it's in the first 10 seconds. And then I know if I just can't connect it in terms of what, it's a very hectic thing because it doesn't take away from the job you're doing. It just means that I really cannot do anything with that. But I think it's just more of an impulse and a vibration and a spiritual energy that happens with me. And that's why I haven't worked with a lot of producers. I tend to stick to something, and when that kind of, is done in the universe, I'll move to the next thing. So I purely work on vibrations and spirituality, yeah.
You've been in the industry for a while now. What are some sort of challenges that you faced regarding working with new talent and people coming into the industry and sort of just getting yourself out there and then also just taking care of yourself spiritually, mentally?
Like that one, because it's changed over the years. There was a time where there were literally no female rappers. There was a lady by the name of Cuba, the Queen of Joburg. There was Ntabi. There was Kainisa with Rimanskap in think it's in Cape Town. There was Godessa, and they just recently got inducted into the Hip Hop Museum as well. But I'm just super grateful that I myself, and I think somebody like a Nadia Nakai, and if I'm forgetting anyone's name, I'm sorry, but we were kind of the pioneers to come in, where we were fighting for radio space, we were fighting for respect, we were fighting to get into the mainstream, and when it happened, then you see, like so many other girls coming through that. So I think for me, the biggest thing is, you're allowed to say this, like people are going to try and take advantage of you because you're female. And I've got a saying that, like, if you start like that, you're going to have to feed the snake all the time and nobody will listen to what you say, So I think that has to have been the biggest hurdle, but it was also the biggest gift because being a young woman and, doing the whole Sprite Uncontainable thing and becoming a runner-up as, a woman, and still being here now and being the only runner-up that was a woman, I hold that in very high regards, and I always say to young people, I don't believe connections are one thing, but hard work beats talent, so there's somebody who can be really good. And I mean, this comes from conversations around a Nas versus a Jay-Z. Nas is an exceptional writer, but Jay-Z is the mogul.
I love that. So you've got an upcoming album. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Who can we expect to hear? What sort of songs? Is it different from what you've made before?
Yeah, it's kind of weird that, my career's definitely gone a whole 360. I've been signed by Paradise Sound System. Thank you. And they're a very, very big deal in Europe. They're Germany based. And we're currently trying to create a footprint for Gigi Lamayne. We're seeing a lot of young men and women representing the continent in their, different genres, but we haven't really quite seen somebody who happens to be, a hip-hop artist getting onto some of those stages, where there's issues of, localizing, are we selling ice to the Eskimo, where it's like, okay, they're giving us the same kind of hip-hop, this person sounds like that person, or are you gonna rap on beats that are yours, that are African sounds that we've discovered, and that's where we are. So we're slowly starting to create, my identity. It's been absolutely amazing. There was Love and HipHop. We had strong support, from the guys out in the States. Things are coming around really, really good. And a lot of it is thanks to Paradise. I'm so grateful that they believe in me so much. And I think, they were part of yes, Osama. And you guys know what that song did. So let's cross fingers and see what the collaboration brings. Yeah.
Speaking about Love and Hip Hop, how was that experience, reality TV?
Toxic. That's it. So my alter ego is Toxic Tina. Toxic Tina. And call her antagonist, call her standing up for herself, or whatever that persona was. I absolutely loved it. I loved how there was such a hate and love thing on social media. Gigi Cantoso. I really, really loved that. And I do believe that was a manifestation, because I am a hardcore Love and Hip Hop fan, from Stevie J to Jocelyn Hernandez to Princess to everybody on the franchise, to Waka Flocka, and now we're having the African version, and we're part of the season 1 cast. That was a big deal for me. Yeah.
Are there any rumors from that time you want to squash? Because
that's how you ask me.
People really wanted to know, when they were watching, is that your real personality? Or when you are on reality TV, do you adopt a certain?
To the doctor, absolutely. I mean, you write a contract where people can literally chop and change and you can become the bad guy. So I do know that I became the bad guy in many instances. But I think what I absolutely gloat in is knowing that I stood my ground in a lot of those situations. So a lot of people think that some of the stuff wasn't real. It absolutely was. And coming into space like hip hop and coming into mainstream media and spaces like Black Twitter, people haven't been particularly kind to me. And you don't always get a chance to tell your version of events or tell your story, showcase what kind of person you are. But I'm definitely the type of person to hit you up if I'm upset with you, so that we can rectify whatever it is. But I'm not going to keep quiet either.
Besides the upcoming EP, what else is on your list? Can we expect a tour? Can we expect?
Yeah.
Where can we expect to see and hear from you?
I mean, the podcast. The podcast is doing really well. It's an absolute vibe for me. That's why I also have, like, I've gained sort of like I've acquired a platform where I can speak, on issues and nobody will chop and change. So I'm treating that very delicately as my child. I did my media honors as a cum laude at Wits, and the podcasting world was, something that we did, and I'd really like to maybe even become somebody who writes stuff on it. I think it's really great being Gigi and people taking pictures of you, but I've often said that in, commercial media, nobody wants to be the journalist. Nobody wants to be the photographer. Everyone wants to be the muse, So I think for me, it's a bit of an existentialist crisis right now, where I'm probably going to decide to do stuff behind the scenes. I look up to Mom Connie Ferguson, Mom Basitsana. They're doing great things in front of and behind camera. So definitely the podcast. Yeah.
Your music often carries like really uplifting and powerful messages, especially for women. How do you hope like your music contributes to the broader culture in South Africa, the music industry, and just to people in general?
Music is timeless. I remember there was a song called Ipupo that I released in 2017 or 2018. And until this day, I've had people, who've told me that that song has carried them through, a lot. And if I can be as relatable as possible, I will continue writing. So if I can do that and I can show you that, like, work super, super hard regardless, then I'm just gonna carry on making music for you. Yeah.
And if there's someone out there who's watching this and they want to make music, they want to be where you are, what's your best advice for them?
Don't seek validation, because that was the biggest thing for me. I came into the industry where you know how it is for female rappers, overly sexualized. You need to look like this, you need to be like that. And, knowing what I know now, I really wish that I wouldn't have looked for so much validation, because the industry can make you, but they can break you. And South Africa in particular, the Twitter, what do we call it? Twitter CBD and Black Twitter are, yes, a very great phenomena, but they've also claimed a few lives. So I think it's very important to also understand that, I remember reading somewhere where somebody was saying social media is an extension of who we are as people. I beg to differ in the sense that you may say something to me on social media, but you never say it to me when you're actually with me, So it is a facade to a certain extent. So like, just ignore. I've trained it many times. Ignore. Self-validation is so important. Don't wait for anyone to give you an opportunity. Go kick down the door. And I'm not saying like now go and harass Jay-Z and be like, yeah, but like persevere. What you want for yourself, your actual innate needs should be what drive you even in that space. Yo, what's up, guys? It's your girl Gigi Lamayne, aka Nkosazana, aka the New Age Cleopatra. Don't forget, Kizazi Moto is out courtesy of Disney. We're on POVX Gigi. Menzi Ngubane featuring Lady Do, Robot Boy, Dosh, Masti Dub is out, produced by Buga M Beats. And please, guys, go and follow, subscribe, Gigi_Lamayne for the blue tick.
Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Bubblegum Connects. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.